Harpy. Harpies are among the most revolting hybrids in the northern realms. Their nests marked by guano-streaked cliffs, bones, and feathers. Kin to shishigas and erinias, they are smaller and more cowardly, but attack in swarms that can overwhelm the unprepared. They dive at prey with claws, beaks, and wings before soaring back out of reach, using their numbers to wear victims down. On the ground, however, they are clumsy and weak, easily dispatched once robbed of flight. Drawn to shiny objects, they line their nests with trinkets stolen from corpses, grim reminders of their kills. Though fragile alone, in flocks they become a shrieking storm of wings and talons. Erinia. Close cousins to harpies, erinias are larger, more vicious, and even more unsettling. Found in Skellige, they circle high before swooping down in groups, raking prey with razor talons aimed at the neck and eyes. Unlike harpies, they cause heavy bleeding, allowing even a small flock to bring down armed warriors. Their bodies bear sparse feathers and distinctive crystalline bands, marking them as more formidable foes. Though carrion is their preferred food, they eagerly hunt the living. To many islanders, the sound of their cry is as dreaded as the clash of steel. Siren. Sirens haunt the coasts of the northern realms, most notably Skellige, where sailors warn never to trust a song on the sea. Legends claim they once mingled with men, even allowing courtship, but now they display only hostility, perhaps soured by the kidnappings carried out by sailors. In form, they resemble maidens with silver-scaled tails, but their beauty hides fanged maws and talons. Sirens hunt in flocks, darting seamlessly between sea and sky. A wounded siren unleashes a piercing shriek that stuns foes long enough for its sisters to dive in and protect it, making them dangerous, even in retreat. On land, however, sirens are clumsy and vulnerable. Forcing them from the air is key, for only grounded are they easily slain. Echidna. Echidnae are stronger, larger kin to sirens and among the most dangerous creatures to dwell in Skellige's lakes and wetlands. They grow particularly active during rainfall, when storms stir their hunting instinct. Unlike sirens, they possess a disturbingly human-like visage, more akin to the sea witches of legend, which makes their sudden attacks all the more terrifying. In combat, they swoop from the skies or burst from beneath the water. While vulnerable to silver, they are especially susceptible to fire and force. For sailors and travelers, the presence of an echidna means that even calm waters can turn into deadly traps when the storm clouds gather overhead. Griffin. The griffin is one of the most iconic hybrids of the continent, half eagle and half lion, once rare in high mountain ranges but driven closer to human lands by settlement. Territorial and aggressive, they defend their hunting grounds relentlessly, preying on livestock and shepherds alike. Known to mate for life, griffins are celebrated in heraldry as symbols of loyalty and courage, yet in truth they are merciless predators. They strike from above with crushing dives, using talons and beak to tear victims apart. Subspecies like royal griffins and arch griffins display even greater strength, with some spitting acid to corrode armor. Succubus. Succubi are unlike most hybrids, for they do not hunt blood but feed on desire. Taking the form of alluring humans with horns and goat-like legs, they prowl near villages and towns, driven by an endless lust that drains mortals of strength. Though rarely resisted, their affections can exhaust or even kill. Not inherently cruel, succubi often live peacefully, choosing partners indiscriminately, man or woman, young or old, even priests, whom they seduce for sport. Yet beneath their beauty lies great power, muscles strong enough to break bone, horns that can gore, and magic flames to disrupt foes. They blur the line between temptation and threat, proving that not all monsters kill with claws, some destroy with longing, mortals cannot escape. Melusine. High in the caves near Svorlug dwelt Melusine, an ancient echidna so feared that islanders once treated her as a goddess. A vast winged statue within her lair suggests a cult devoted to her, mistaking terror for divinity. Tales speak of her shadow sweeping over the mountains, followed by screams carried on the wind, proof of her dominance over the skies. Unlike common sirens, Melusine was colossal, cunning, and seemingly eternal, a living myth carved into Skellige's cliffs. To the people, she was a presence to revere, but to a witcher, she remained a monster. Her legend ended not in worship, but in blood and silver, a reminder that even creatures mistaken for gods are still mortal beneath the blade. Opinicus. Outside Oxenfurt, in the forests and mountain slopes, lurked the Opinicus, a monstrous arch-griffin whose reputation grew with every failed hunt. Mercenaries, knights, and hunters all tried their steel against it, only to be torn apart or scattered. Each failure fed the beast's fury, leaving the land scarred by its vengeance. Unlike common griffins, the Opinicus possessed immunity to fire and the ability to spit acid, its corrosive spray eating through armor before talons delivered the final blow. To scholars, it was a rarity, perhaps even an endangered marvel. To those who lived in its shadow, it was a calamity. In the end, the Opinicus stood as both myth and menace, a creature that humbled all challengers until only a witcher's silver blade could bring its reign to an end. Salma. In the heart of Novigrad lived Salma, a succubus whose story blurred the line between sin and survival. She became infamous after several temple guards were found dead, their desiccated bodies discovered with no signs of struggle. She claimed it was self-defense, not malice, a plea that cast her not as a murderer, but as a victim of persecution. Fire could not harm her, and her beauty hid strength enough to crush bone, making her every bit as formidable as she was enchanting. To some, she was a temptress who deserved death. To others, a creature wronged by zealots.